My 43F, husband's 46M, affair partner 19F, is pregnant, doesn't know the baby's father, and I don't know where to begin with fixing this. I recently found myself in a situation I never imagined I would face. After 19 years of marriage, my husband sat me down one evening, looking more nervous than I had ever seen him. He had arranged for our kids to spend the night with his mother, and I could tell something was seriously wrong. When I walked in, he was alone in the living room, and I immediately felt a wave of concern wash over me. He took my hands and with a shaky voice confessed that he had been having an affair for the past 6 months. I was blindsided. My mind raced with questions, but all I could focus on was the fact that our children were not home, and I needed to know where they were. After what felt like an eternity of him trying to explain himself, he finally revealed that his mother was taking care of them for the night. I snapped. How could he expect me to calm down when he had just shattered our vows? I stormed outside to my car, overwhelmed with emotions, anger, betrayal, confusion. I thought about our life together, our children, and what this meant for our future. After a while, I decided I needed answers, so I went back inside. We sat down again and I insisted we talk in the living room. He told me that the affair had started with secret messaging, which escalated into something physical while I was away for work. The worst part? The woman he had cheated with was Emily, our son's ex-girlfriend, who had just broken up with him 2 months prior. I couldn't believe it. I felt a mix of rage and disbelief. How could he betray not just me, but our son too? To make matters worse, he revealed that Emily had confided in him 2 weeks ago that she was pregnant but didn't know who the father was, him or our son. I was done. I left, checked into a hotel, and turned my phone off. The next day, I returned to work, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy for our kids. When I got home, my husband was waiting by the door, begging me to talk. I didn't have the energy. I just went to our room and lay in bed, feeling utterly defeated. He tried to reach out to me, but I felt disgusted. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, and the thought of sharing a bed with him made my skin crawl. Days have passed, and nothing has been resolved. For the sake of our children, I'm trying to keep things normal until after the holidays. Our son doesn't know anything about the affair or the potential pregnancy, and I'm terrified of how to break the news to him. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, and the weight of this betrayal is crushing me. I know I need to figure this out, but I'm struggling to find the strength to confront my husband or even think about our future. My heart is broken, not just for myself, but for our family. How do I even begin to navigate this mess? I found myself in a situation that felt like a scene straight out of a dramatic movie. My husband, James, had been unfaithful, and now his affair partner, who is just 19 years old, is pregnant. To make matters worse, she doesn't even know who the father is. I was left grappling with a whirlwind of emotions, and the timing couldn't be worse. With Christmas just around the corner, I felt an overwhelming urge to keep this a secret, but deep down, I knew that was unrealistic. As I sat there, I couldn't help but think about how this would impact our family. James and I have 2 children, and I was primarily concerned about how this revelation would affect them. The thought of their father's actions causing a rift between him and our kids was heartbreaking. I felt lost, unsure of how to approach this delicate situation. Should I tell James now, or wait until after the holidays? The weight of the situation pressed heavily on my shoulders. I knew I needed to confront James, but I was terrified of the fallout. I had no idea where to begin or how to express my feelings without causing more pain. It felt like I was standing at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take. All I wanted was to protect my family and find a way to navigate through this chaos. As I sat in silence, I realized that I needed to gather my thoughts and figure out a plan. I couldn't let fear dictate my actions. I had to be strong for my children and for myself. It was time to face the truth, no matter how difficult it might be.
Am I the bad guy for telling my in-laws that I don't care about the resale value of my house? I'm a 36-year-old guy who inherited a house from my uncle 5 years ago. He wasn't just my uncle. He was a close family friend who I admired deeply. He lived life on his own terms and always had a great sense of humor. I remember asking him as a kid why he wasn't married, and he casually mentioned he liked men, which led to a hilarious moment with my dad that I still cherish. Sadly, My uncle passed away in an industrial accident and left everything to me. Now, I'm not rolling in riches, but I'm set for life without any debts, and I work a job I genuinely love. The house itself is a charming bungalow built in 1953. It's a bit dated, but I don't mind at all. It's paid off, has a massive yard where I've cultivated a garden bigger than many of my friends' backyards. And I've got a heated double garage with all the tools I could ever need. In short, I'm content. However, my in-laws seem to think they're on a home renovation show every time they visit. They constantly criticize everything about my house: the avocado green tub, the original hardwood floors, you name it. Meanwhile, my wife and I are living our best lives, taking vacations without going into debt, and saving for retirement. I'm proud of where we are, and I miss my uncle dearly. But I know he set me up for success. The real kicker is the housing crisis in my city. Older neighborhoods are being rezoned for high-density developments, meaning any house that sells is likely to be torn down for something new. I've tried explaining this to my in-laws, but they just don't get it. My brother-in-law, who works in real estate, keeps suggesting renovations to keep developers at bay, while my in-laws seem to think it's a personal failure that we're not sinking ourselves into debt for upgrades. They live in a beautiful big house with a hefty mortgage and sky-high utility bills, which I find a bit excessive. During their latest visit, they started up again about how we should change things in our home. I finally snapped and told them that their opinions didn't matter to me. My wife backed me up, telling them to drop it since this is our home where we plan to raise our kids. They got a bit huffy, claiming they just want what's best for us. I jokingly said I'd be open to their renovations if they were willing to pay for them without any strings attached. They quickly backtracked, insisting we should pay for the changes they want in our house. I just laughed and said no way. Now, they're upset that we're not considering their wishes. So, am I in the wrong for telling them I don't care about their opinions on our house?
Today, I messed up by almost peeing in my date's car. Let me take you back to my college days, where I found myself sitting across from a really cute guy in my composition class. We'll call him Mark. He was a bit reserved, but on the last day of class, he surprised me by asking for my contact information. After a few weeks of chatting, he finally asked me out on a date to see some live music. I was excited, but also a bit nervous about our chemistry since he had been shy. Our first date went surprisingly well. After a lovely time at the park, he asked if I wanted to grab dinner. I suggested a restaurant downtown, and we were both looking forward to it. However, my first mistake happened during dinner. I've never been great at making eye contact, and sitting directly across from him made it even more awkward. To fill the silence, I started drinking water, lots of it. I ended up downing 7 glasses before our food even arrived. As dinner progressed, the tension eased, and Mark suggested we drive around and talk some more afterward. I agreed, but little did I know that my bladder was about to become the main character of the evening. I hadn't thought to use the restroom at the restaurant, and as we drove aimlessly, I realized my mistake. After about 20 minutes, I could feel the urgency building, so I suggested we head back to my car. Mark, however, was taking his time, driving a steady 10 miles under the speed limit. Normally, I found it endearing, but at that moment, I was desperate. Finally, we spotted a gas station, and I hopped out, only to discover there was no bathroom. Okay, no problem. I pulled up Apple Maps to find the next closest one, but it turned out we were in a gas station desert. After a 12-minute drive, we arrived at another gas station, which also had no bathroom. My anxiety was rising. And I could tell Mark was getting worried as well. We decided to try one more gas station, but as we pulled up, I noticed a sketchy scene unfolding in the parking lot. Still, I had to prioritize my bladder. Mark got out with me, and I sprinted inside, only to find that the bathroom was locked. The cashier, however, was not very helpful, urging me to leave. As we exited, one of the men in the parking lot called out to us, and I felt my heart race. Mark was fumbling with his keys, and I was frantically trying to open my door. Finally, he unlocked it just in time, and we sped off, my bladder screaming for relief. At this point, I was ready to give up hope of a third date. I suggested we head to the nearest Quick Trip, knowing they usually have bathrooms. It was 15 minutes away, and I was in agony. Mark seemed to sense the urgency and finally picked up the pace. As we approached Quick Trip, I was practically doubled over in pain the moment the car stopped. I jumped out and dashed into the women's bathroom. Miraculously, I made it just in time. After what felt like the longest bathroom break of my life, I walked back to Mark's car, feeling both relieved and embarrassed. To my surprise, Mark was just glad I didn't have an accident in his car. We shared a laugh on the way back, and while I thought I had bombed the date, it turned out to be a memorable experience for both of us. Who knew that a near disaster could lead to a connection?
I, 26 female, stayed for 9 years with my boyfriend, 30 male, but I don't want this relationship anymore. Am I making a huge mistake by not giving him? I'm a 26-year-old woman who has been in a relationship with my boyfriend, who is 30, for nearly 9 years. I want to start by saying that I have so much love for him. He's my best friend and means the absolute world to me. I can't shake the guilt that comes with it. Over the years, we've been through a lot together. For almost 3 years, I supported us financially while he struggled with a deep depression. During that time, he was emotionally unavailable, didn't help much around the house, and even cheated online on multiple occasions. Each time, I forgave him, convincing myself that he was sick and that we would get through it. But I can't deny that these experiences broke something in me and changed how I see him permanently. We also discovered that we are sexually incompatible. This isn't just a phase or a need for excitement. I have needs that he simply can't fulfill. I've realized that I can no longer compromise on this. I wanted stability, a home, kids, and a clear direction in life. But he kept telling me he wasn't ready. I ended up carrying all the responsibility for our future, and slowly I started to resent him. When he suggested an open relationship, I hesitated, but eventually agreed, hoping it would help us. Soon after, I met someone who embodies everything I've been looking for in a partner. This new person showed me that I could have what I've always wanted. He no longer wants the back and forth and has given me an ultimatum, which I've decided to pursue. I told my boyfriend that I'm leaving, and he was absolutely crushed. He regrets the open relationship and blames the new guy for our situation. He refuses to see the bigger picture, focusing instead on the changes he's made since the new guy came into the picture. He breaks down, cries, and begs me to stay, telling me I'm the love of his life and asking for one more chance. Seeing him in such pain tears me apart. I've had to walk away in those moments because the thought of leaving him, knowing he will suffer, gives me panic attacks. I love him deeply, and the idea of causing him this much pain makes me feel sick. It's incredibly hard to walk away from someone who has been a part of my life for so long. We have 2 dogs, and I dread the thought of separating them. Despite everything, we have shared so many happy and loving memories. For a long time, I believed he was my person, and I wanted a future with him so badly. Admitting that we failed feels like a heavy burden. Leaving feels like ripping my heart out. But I know that staying would mean living in a state of numbness, unfulfilled and quietly miserable forever. My gut tells me that I can't stay and that this is the right choice, but I'm terrified of making the wrong decision. I love him so much, and I know he loves me back. Yet, his changes now feel like too little, too late. I feel stuck, to the point of insanity, constantly questioning whether I should give him another chance or finally walk away. Any advice would be greatly appreciated.